Vedanta Swamini Tamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashadesh. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anusuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alark, Prahlad and others, Vidu, Yai, etc. Purport. The Lord incarnated himself as Dattatreya, the son of Rishi Atri and Anusuya. The history of the birth of Dattatreya as an incarnation of the Lord is mentioned in the Brahman Puran in the connection with the story of the devoted wife. It is said that Anusuya, the wife of Rishi Atri, prayed before the Lord Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva as follows. My lords, if you are pleased with me and if you desire me to ask from you some sort of blessings, then I pray that you combine together to become my son. This was accepted by the lords, and as Dattatreya, the Lord expounded the philosophy of the spirit soul and especially instructed Alark, Prahlad, Yadu, Yai, etc. So here the sixth incarnation of the Lord is given as Dattatreya. So he particularly propounded the philosophy of spirit soul, like how we are not these bodies and exactly we are spirit soul. And this Dattatreya, as it mentioned, it is a combined incarnation of the Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. But since Brahma and Shiva are not Vishnu Tattva, but still it's considered as an incarnation because Lord Vishnu is also incarnating. So that's why it's considered as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. That's why it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So it's a short purport, so I'll continue on to the next work. Text 12. Tata saptama akutyam rucher yagyo abhiyagyata sa yamadey suraganair apt swambhuvatram. The translation. The seventh incarnation was Yajna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of Swayambhu Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. Purport. The administrative posts occupied by the demigods for maintaining the regulation of the material world are offered to the highly elevated pious living beings. When there is scarcity of such pious living beings, the Lord incarnates himself as Brahma, Prajapati, Indra, etc. and takes up the charge. During the period of Swayambhu Manu, the present period is of Vyavastha Manu, there was no suitable living being who could occupy the post of Indra, the king of Indraloka, heaven, planet. The Lord himself at that time became Indra, assisted by his own sons like Yama and other demigods. Lord Yajna ruled the administration of the universal affair. So in this text, the incarnation mentioned is about Yajna. So and it's mentioned like Lord is taking an incarnation as if there are no suitable living entity with enough pious credits, he takes up the charge for maintaining the material affairs. As we know, Lord Vishnu is for the maintenance of the material world, Brahma is for creation and Lord Shiva is for destruction. So for the maintenance of the material world, we require demigods which oversee the which are directly involved in the maintenance of the material world. So if there are no living entities with enough pious credits, so Lord himself, he takes up the charge because he takes the role of maintaining the material world. So it speaks about like how Lord came as Yajna, and so in Bhagavad Gita there is a lot of detail given about like what is Yajna and why it's meant for. So people in general have idea of Yajna as fire sacrifice. Yajna is translated as sacrifice. So sacrifice if we see, yajna does not just means fire sacrifice. Sacrifice means denying the interest of the senses. Srila Prabhupada writes in Ishopanishad Mantra 17, like sacrifice means to deny the interest of the senses, because generally the tendency is to indulge in the senses. Just like animal, they have no concept of restraint. If they like it, they do it. Even this kind of philosophy is present in among human society. If you feel good, do it. But this is hedonism, and this is not very sound philosophy, because as we experience different emotions, our thought changes. So it may lead to some very unexpected or very unpalatable results. Just like if we are on a road, and it's a common example, especially in India, and especially during road rage, some vehicle is honking at you, someone brake too fast, and then you have to brake too fast. So all these instances, there is rush of emotions, and if you will feel good to shout at other person, but it may escalate the situation. So you deliberately show restraint, and so by this you utilize your discrimination to see the better outcome, just not for now but for the future. So deliberately we show restraint so that we can have a better future. So this is known as Shreyas and Preyas. Preyas means for the immediate benefit what we do, and Shreyas is for the ultimate benefit. The example is given like this: a child may want to just play the whole day and not want to go to school, may want to ignore his health, but a mother, being mother or parent, being their well-wisher, they would send their child to school or for education, whatever education, and they would look after his health, because ultimately just playing is his just immediate benefit, but ultimate benefit is he gets sound education, and he gets good health. Another example is like just we may want to go to a cinema or somewhere else where we can immediately gratify our senses, but if we see, on the other hand, we have philosophical classes like Bhagavad Gita, where we understand about like what is life meant for, what is the actual goal. So this, it may not give immediate results, but it's meant for ultimate good. So that's why this is known as Shreyas, the ultimate good. So Bhagavad Gita mentions different kind of sacrifices. So there are sacrifices done to demigods, impersonalists, done by householders, brahmacharis. Like this, there are so many sacrifices. It's mentioned like who does sacrifices to demigods, devatas. So demigods, they are in charge of this material world, and they can provide temporary material benefits, but ultimately they are temporary. So those who want to enjoy material happiness, so they sacrifice their material enjoyment to enjoy material happiness later. For example, they'll do some yajna to get material enjoyment in the heaven. It's mentioned in the Vedas, you can do that, but that's all temporary. Similarly, the impersonalists, they also do sacrifice. It's mentioned in Gita, like in chapter 4, verse 25, like how impersonalists, they sacrifice their material designations and themselves in the fire of Brahman. It's mentioned here, Devam epare yajnam yogina paripasate Brahm agnev apare yajnam yajna eva upajuhoti. Means this it says some offer sacrifices in the fire of Supreme Brahm. So this is speaking about impersonalists, how they want to annihilate their individual existence. So they merge and they offer their identity in the Brahm. So usually there is a fire in a sacrifice. So the Brahm is compared to a fire, and the self of impersonalist, the soul of impersonalist, that is refer to the offering here. And similarly, householders, they do sacrifices. It's mentioned in Vedas. Just like there is intoxication, indulgence in sex. These are this natural proclivities of a human. So, but there is a marriage. There is institution of marriage within civilized society, so that they can enjoy in a restricted manner, not in an unrestricted manner. So this kind of restricted sense enjoyment is also a type of sacrifice, where they deliberately put restraint, like, okay, I'll be just with one partner. So this is also considered one kind of sacrifice. And then brahmachari, it's mentioned like brahmachari, he controls mind by controlling what he hears. It says, Shrotadini indriyane anye samyamya agnishu juhoti shabdani vishyan anya indriya agnishu juhoti. Some sacrifice the hearing process, and some and the senses in the fire of mental control, and other sacrifices the object of senses in the fire of senses. So the latter part is speaking about householders. The first part, like those who sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. This is speaking about brahmacharya. So the brahmachari, he just speaks the words concerning with spiritual life. It's mentioned like brahmachari, he just hears words related to Krishna consciousness. He doesn't hear about sense gratification, because if we hear, then our mind will get agitated. So that's how they control the mind. So this is one type of yajna which brahmacharis they do. Similarly, there are dravya yajna, yoga yajna, swadhyaya yajna. These all are mentioned in later verses of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 4 himself. So dravya yajna means those who have possessions, like people who are rich, especially rich people, they establish some institutions like hospitals. In India there used to be dharmshala, athitishala. Like this they would do, because this requires a lot of money. They have money, so they will sacrifice their possession for doing this kind of yajna. And there is yoga yajna, swadhyaya yajna. Swadhyaya yajna means the people, they would study Vedanta Sutra and Upanishad. So they will, in this way, they will sacrifice their time and intelligence to study about the Vedas and to discuss the subject matter from the Vedas. So we are seeing like there are so many different kinds of sacrifices, but sacrifices to demigods, impersonalists, and sacrifices done by impersonalists, not impersonalists. Sacrifices done by householder brahmacharis. So we should understand like why there are so many different kinds of sacrifices. What's the aim? Actually, these different types of sacrifices Prabhupada mentions in the purport of 20th verse of our chapter. Like they are suited to different types of worker, because in material condition we might be absorbed in different conception of life. So to suit those kinds of workers, so there are different types of yajnas. Some might be so deeply absorbed that they are just on the level of body, but some might be on the level of mind. So with body, mind and intelligence we can do sacrifice. But ultimately what it's meant for, it comes in later in 4th chapter only. Like ultimately sacrifice is meant for liberation. It's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, evam bahuvida yajna pitata brahmana mukhe karm jan viddi tan sarvan evam gyatva vimokshasi. Translation: all these different types of sacrifices are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. So ultimately, these different types of sacrifices, they are meant to liberate us. So we now saw the ultimate aim of sacrifice. Now we would see why to do sacrifice. It's mentioned in the the 3rd chapter itself, which speaks about why to do sacrifice. It says, Krishna in Gita, without sacrifice there is no happiness in this world or in the next planet. So actually, by doing sacrifice, if you see in Bhagavad Gita, it says the demigods they become happy, and they supply us with the enough material things, necessities which are needed for life. For example, a human may require enough food grains, enough fruits, flowers, milk, and all of these things. It is required, food grains, milk, and water. So these are supplied by demigods. Not a human being cannot create all of these things. Even with all our factories, all our advancement, we cannot even create a single blade of grass. So it's not due to our human endeavor that we are getting these things. This is due to higher powers which are in charge of this world. And if we cooperate between them, then we'll get enough necessities of life, and we can live without anxiety. Practically, we saw during Corona that Britain, who was once ruling the whole world, its capital London, it was without food. There was no food. The supermarkets, they were empty. So they were suffering. So it's mentioned, it's because they are not doing sacrifice. And slowly, as they divert further away from the Vedic principles, they become more and more godless. These things, they will be restricted, because they are not helping. They are not going towards the ultimate goal. They are just becoming more and more demoniac, more and more interested in their own, satisfying their own senses, which tends to make a person demoniac, which disrupts the society. So for that, this is the kind of punishment. If you will not perform yajna, then will not be able to get the enough necessities of life. And yajnas, by doing yajna, we get enough necessities of life. And if we get the necessities of life, then we can execute peacefully what the orders of Vedas. Vedas generally, it gives fourfold. Just like Vedas, they direct us towards dharma, artha, kama, moksha. There are four necessities of a human: in dharma, religiosity; artha, economic development; kama, in sense gratification; and moksha, it means liberation. So by getting yajna, we'll have enough necessities of life. We can live without anxiety, and ultimately gain this liberation from this material entanglement. So that's why yajna needs to be performed. And we see in Bhagavad Gita, like ultimately yajna is meant for Vishnu only. If you see, and Gita says, yajnartha karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to perform yajna, perform action for yajna. Yajna is another name of Vishnu. Yajna vai Vishnu, Vedas they say. So action needs to be performed for Lord Vishnu. And if we do so, then we get liberated from the entanglement of good and bad reaction, which is binding us in this material world, which is temporary and miserable. So by performing yajna, we can get free from the bondage of actions. And also we'll be doing yajna, we'll have enough necessities, we'll have enough food, so we'll be able to execute this thing peacefully. So we saw like how just by doing work for yajna, we can gain liberation from the material world. And ultimately the sacrifice is meant for Krishna. We saw the people, they do different kinds of yajnas for demigods, for some certain purposes. And ultimately the chief beneficiary is Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Because if we see this practically during Chaturmasya, there are no weddings, no weddings, no marriage ceremonies, because the Lord Vishnu is supposed to be sleeping at that time. So all no auspicious activities are executed during that time, because the chief beneficiary Vishnu, he is sleeping. So if you do because Viva is Viva Yajna. Yajna means you have to offer it to Vishnu. Vishnu, he will not take the result. So it will not fructify. So that's why we see in during Chaturmasya there are no weddings. In this way we can understand, even though there are other demigods, but if Vishnu is not there, so we cannot expect like our yajna to be fructified. And similarly, there are so many verses in Bhagavad Gita like Bhaktaram yajna tapsam sarvalokam maheshwaram suhridha sarvabhuta nam gyatva mam shantim rachati. Like Bhaktaram yajna tapsam, Krishna is the enjoyer of all yajnas and tapa. So ultimately, whatever we might be doing it for some temporary benefit, but ultimately Krishna is the enjoyer. And Krishna says like more clearly in 9th chapter and 24th verse, like aham sarva yajnanam bhakta cha prabhu evcha. Krishna is the enjoyer of all yajnas, and who doesn't know him as this, they fall down, because one might be interested in getting material benefits. He may get it from some demigod, worshipping some demigods. He may get the result, but it's a temporary and material thing. And for material thing, they have to come to the material world, and this is a fall down from their original spiritual platform. So they will fall down because of not knowing Krishna as supreme, as the enjoyer of sacrifices. If they do it for Krishna, they get liberation. Yajnartha karma. If do it for Krishna, they'll get liberation. But if for someone else, they'll not get liberation. So similarly, we see the varnashram dharma, that it is also meant to satisfy Vishnu. The whole Vedic society, it was organized into different divisions, different social order and different spiritual orders, just for the satisfaction of Vishnu. It is understood like one who is completely Krishna conscious, who is completely on spiritual platform. All these duties, they are not required for him. But in varnashram, there are duties related to some certain caste, certain divisions. So everyone has a duty to perform. But one who is Krishna conscious, it has no duty to perform. But it's understood that everyone will not be able to get to such an exalted status in one lifetime. It would instantaneously, let's say. So that's why this whole system of varnashram is there, so that we can gradually develop the detachment from sense gratification, and ultimately we can develop the mood to sacrifice for Krishna. So this is the aim of varnashram dharma as well. And if we see, and there is one more verse in Bhagavatam which says like just by worshipping Krishna, you can satisfy everyone. It says itathro mool nischena. It's like if you water the root of a tree, you don't need to water the tree, water the leaves, trunks, or branches separately, because you are watering the fountainhead, the root. So similarly, if you worship Krishna, and you worship everyone, then that's the highest worship you can give to anyone. Similarly, another example is given, just like we supply food to the food to the stomach, so all our body parts, they are satisfied. Similarly, these different demigods, they are like different limbs of Supreme Lord. If we satisfy Supreme Lord, they are automatically satisfied. There is no need for separate endeavor to satisfy them. That's why everything is meant for sacrificing for Krishna. Even there is a narration in Krishna Leela, just like how when Krishna was playing with his cowherd boys, and they were hungry, he asked them to get food from brahmanas who were doing sacrifices. But they couldn't understand the brahmanas. They were doing sacrifices just for the sake of sacrifices as a duty. But ultimately, it's meant for satisfying Krishna, and so they denied. They cannot give food. But when they went to these devotees, the wives of brahmanas, they satisfied Krishna fully. So this is an instructive pastime, like how one should not just do sacrifice for the sake of doing it as a duty, but ultimately one should know how to do it for Krishna, out of love for Krishna. So in this age, doing ordinary yajna, it's not possible at all, because in ordinary yajna, you require so much of endeavor to collect pure things, because in yajna there is offering, there is havi, there is ghee which is offered into the sacrificial fire. So for that we need pure milk, but nowadays we get non-edible ghee. I don't know what kind of ghee is that, but surely ghee means edible. So similarly, as Kali Yuga progresses, there would be shortage of enough ghee, enough milk. Practically we are seeing like it's a struggle to get milk, and even if we get in packets, they say milk, we don't know what it is really, what they have mixed in it. So similarly, as Kali Yuga progresses, we'll be running out of all the pure substances, and if the substances in yajna they are impure, then it's not you will not be able to execute it properly, then it means like it's an hindrance. So we cannot do these yajna, and and it requires time, place, some qualified persons to do it. So it's a whole endeavor, a lot of endeavor, especially in Kali Yuga. People, they don't really have time. They are always in anxiety. They don't think so much to do a yajna, and practically we see like it's not even possible because of unavailability of pure ingredients. So but Mahaprabhu came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's described in Bhagavatam, like he is doing Sankirtana Yajna. There's a verse in Bhagavatam which describes the Lord's advent. Krishna Varna Tusha Krishnam Sangopastra Pashadam Yajna Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Sumeta. In the age of Kali, intelligent person perform congregation chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So this verse is speaking about like how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is doing Sankirtana Yajna. So and there is one more verse which describes like how Lord advent to teach us Vairagya Vidya Nij Bhakti Yogam, is given by Kavi Karnapur. Like how Lord came himself to teach how to do yajna, Nij Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means do something for Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach us that how to do sacrifice for Krishna. And we see this sacrifice is very easy to perform, and that's why it says intelligent person. Yajanti hi sumetsa. Intelligent persons, they do this. Why? Because they see there is no expense in it. It's free of cost. We don't have to get any ingredients, and you can do it anywhere. There is no in one place you have to be. There is no time. You can do it anytime, whenever you like, and there is no qualification. You don't have to read Vedas. You don't have to get you don't need to be a Brahmana. Anyone can do. There is no qualification for chanting the holy names of the Lord. So the only qualification is chanting with devotion to Lord. So this is even the Prabhupada says even the poorest of the poor person, they can do this. So we see if there are so many advantages are there to perform the Sankirtan Yajna. So an intelligent person would see why to waste time in different yajnas. You just perform yajna for Krishna, which actually all the yajnas they are meant for. So if you do yajna for Krishna, by Sankirtan Yajna, we will get the topmost benefit. So in devotee lives, we see it's just made of sacrifice. Sacrifice means doing things for Krishna. It's just like we wash Krishna's temple. It's for the sake of Krishna. We cook for Krishna. We sing for Krishna. We do activities. It's all meant to satisfy Krishna only. And so just like when we offer bhoga to Krishna, and when we take prasadam, it's like it's performing a yajna, and at the end we take the remnants of yajna. So that's prasadam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says like Vishera, like if you eat Vishera and Khaile Dushta Hoyman, if you eat the food cooked by non-devotees or karmis, our mind, it gets contaminated. It's a very serious thing, because by mind we think we can think of Krishna, and there's a guiding rule in Krishna consciousness, like we should always remember Krishna and never forget him. Smartya satatam Vishnu vismartya na jatuchit sarva vidhi nisheda sayur etar yav eva kinkara. Means we should always remember Krishna and not forget it. And if we take grains, food cooked by non-devotees, then our mind will be contaminated and will not be able to think of Krishna. So we'll lose the sight of goal, what we are meant to do in Krishna conscious movement. So that's why it's recommended that we just take Krishna prasad, we sacrifice, we do yajna for Krishna, we offer bhoga to Krishna and take the remnants. Similarly, by doing work for Krishna, by cooking for Krishna, by doing everything for Krishna, so Krishna says like this, man mana bhavamant bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame, mame shusya yukta vevam atmana mat prayana. By doing everything for Krishna, Krishna says, you will definitely come to me. So this means liberation. We'll go to Krishna to serve him, because those who know Krishna, those who are doing for Krishna, they will get association of Krishna. So this is the ultimate aim of sacrifice, to get association of Krishna for his service. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
So towards the end, you're mentioning about offering to Krishna and taking prasad only. That means as yajna. So my question is that our consideration for the yajna not being the yuga dharma is that these proper things are not there to offer to Krishna, hard to get, and proper qualified people are not there to perform that yajna. But even when we are offering the bhoga, we are offering
it's not
those items.
Whatever. Yes, correct. Actually,
so
yes.
Then how to understand that Krishna, because
this is also one kind of yajna, and that why is one kind of yajna is acceptable and another is not acceptable? Actually, those if you see this is this yajna, that's it's directly offering to Krishna in love and devotion. But other yajnas, they have rules and regulations. They have systematic. You have to follow the regulations. This much amount of ghee should be there, and it's not direct offering. In a sense, it's not with devotion. If devotion, just like we see examples of devotees, they can even offer anything what they have at their expense, and Krishna, he accepts. Krishna is not in need of ghee and all these things, but if offered with devotion, Krishna, he accepts. And about the yajnas having all of these items, that's for fire sacrifices. So for that you need pure ghee, but pure ghee is not there, so that will not be acceptable. But if someone is offering with love and devotion and directly to Krishna, just like cooking bhoga for Lord, so he accepts. So I think I hope that answers your question.
But now we are offering with love and devotion. So then how come the Brahmanas traditionally offered in yajna these items? They are not offering in that mood. But still, Vishnu is the beneficiary of that yajna. He is accepting these items through them, given by them. So then, because here, we are talking about, we are offering with
Bhakti Yoga, yeah.
Bhakti Yoga. But there it's a ritual. But Vishnu is accepting those items offered in the sacrifice. So,
actually, I didn't get it.
He is accepting.
You're saying Lord Vishnu, he was accepting before, or he used to? I didn't get the.
In either case, now we are saying that because of this factor, even we don't have those pure things to offer to Krishna, still we are trying from our side, so then Krishna is accepting. So then comes on the other, because he doesn't need these things. On the other hand comes the question of these items now pure things being offered to Krishna, but it is not with love and devotion.
Okay, so is the Krishna accepting?
He's accepting the yajna, whatever is offered. But how come without the factor of love and devotion being there?
Because I think that's because he takes role of means Lord Vishnu is in charge of material administration, so he doesn't need to abide by any rules. But if someone is following some ritualism as enjoined in Vedas, so even though whatever, if they are following that, then Lord Vishnu says if it's accepted, he will accept it. It's not like it's has to be, because if they mention, if they just like who goes to Swarga, if they are doing this yajna, this they'll go to Swarga. So it's if they're following this, they'll get the result because they have faith in Vedas. Vedas, they are trying to follow the Vedas. So Lord Vishnu, he'll accept just because they are following.
That is a rule for bhakti. Offering your food is bhakti. This is yajna, it's different. It's offering. You offer, you get it, but not bhakti.
So if suppose now devotees were to, devotees are not supposed to take that, right? Yeah. Not in the current scenario, because anyway now these yajnas don't fructify. But in traditionally properly following Dwapar Yuga, let's say, but devotees shouldn't be taking that yajna shishta, right? Or should they? Because it's not offered with love and devotion, it's just offered as a ritual. But Vishnu accepts it. Is it prasada?
There has to be some bhakti for anything to work. That's mentioned that Srimad. There has to be some bhakti. If it was done, if Vaishnava yajnas are there, then it's accepted. If it's done for pleasure of Vishnu, then it's okay. But someone else.
This factor of done for the pleasure of Vishnu, this in itself is devotion.
May not be multiplied.
No, they cannot. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.